Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be going over pretty much every publicly available stock car that I have been able to come across for BeamNG Drive. The first one we are going to start out with is the late model here. Okay, go start with the late model, move on to the Xfinity car, and then our the 2F Gen 6. The 2013 Gen 6, the later Gen 6s, the Gen 5, Gen 7, another Gen 6 mod, the trucks, which it looks weird here, but you'll see what happens later on, the Riles Gen 4, a body mod for the Gen 6 Camaro, and then another body mod for the Gen 6 Camaro. For the late model here, I have all these cars lined up in order from how they come in the car selector here. So for the late model here, the ones you'll typically see are these ones, okay? And then I believe with the supporting mod, you can also have this one, which adds a stock car engine. We are going to transition over to this one. And so if you're running on, a short track or anything like that, you want one of those other cars. But if you want to run these on a super speedway, this is the one you're going to want to run. Gonna turn it off here. Bring it down a little bit. And we're gonna head out onto the track here. Throttle is a bit touchy. And I'll go through the, all the different views and stuff like that. This is the internal view. And these ones are kind of hard to control going into the corner, as you can see there. Definitely want to try and get loose on you. And then, after that, I'll slow it down, bring it down pit road, etc. We'll even, you know what, just for this video, we'll even do pit box entries. We'll park it, shut her down, then move on to the next one. So here we have the Xfinity car. This is also kind of a preview for my configs mod as well, as this is the first car that has them. These are all the default ones that come with the Xfinity Series mod, right? Okay, and then if we look here, we also have these three, which is 2026 Super Speedway packages for these cars here. We're not going to focus on these, though, because they're a much slower version, much slower lap times. I'm just showing you where the Xfinity cars are in your vehicle selector. And, yeah, let's go ahead and get this one going. As you can hear my wheel vibrating when that happened. Go to the inside here, we can see we have gauges. This is your internal view. The main problem with these cars is that when you're in multiplayer with BeamNG, the rear bumpers like to come off on one side and then they're just kind of hanging. Did not make it through only 2 pit boxes on that one. Well, I guess it's 3, but... Alright. Gonna turn this off here. Moving on here, I believe we have the Too Fast. Yes, the Too Fast Gen 6 NASCAR stock car. These are all the configs. It's pretty much just all the different paint schemes that they have for them. Compared to a lot of the other Gen 6 mods, I do not really like this one that much, but it is publicly available, so let's see what we got here. I will say I do kind of like the sounds on this car. The internal of the car is acceptable. It is kind of plowing going into the corner here. Still plowing, a little bit of wheel hop. Locked up the brakes there. It's a car. I'm not that big of a fan of the Too Fast Gen 6 car, but it is here for anyone that does want it, and it is publicly available as far as I can tell. Here we have the 2013 early Gen 6 cars. If we go into our vehicle menu here, there are 3 of them. We have the Chevy SS stock car, the Ford Fusion stock car, and then the Toyota Camry stock car. And these ones also have a custom config that I made for them that is available in my mod in the Discord. Is the NASCAR ARCA Chevy SS version. And basically these ones are just geared way down to get realistic qualifying times for the 2021 NASCAR ARCA series at Daytona. They can make for some really fun drafting if you're just running them for fun because of how the horsepower ratio is in that RPM range. But yeah, there is that for all 3 configs. So let's go ahead and take a look at this car here. These cars can rev really high. The Chevys and Toyotas are fairly well matched. There is a slight speed difference, but not by much at all. Once you're in the draft, it definitely evens out. The Fords, however, are on the slower side. And so if you are running in a Ford with a bunch of other Chevys and Toyotas, it can be kind of hard to get progress going, but it can be done in them. And these are very stable, very stable. going throughout the corner here. And they are also quite fast. Moving on to the next car here, we have the late Gen 6 Ford and Toyota. We go into here. We can see there's the Ford Mustang and then this Toyota Camry. These two, this Toyota Camry and this Ford, are a part of the same mod. They do not run the same speed or anything like that as the Chevy Camaro, but they are there if you want to get those body styles. We can see here we have the screens in them, just like the later Gen 6. You can see these also run fairly quick. Locked up a tire going into pit road there. Alrighty, there is that car, and the Toyota is pretty much identical except for the body style. I did forget to show the interior of this one, I believe. It also has a screen in it, which I don't think is accurate for the early Gen 6s, but... And then there's also this seat that says no texture. There's a handful of these that are like that, but unfortunately that's just kind of the way it is for some of these. Okay, here we have the Gen 5 mod that you can find. I believe it's either BSC or Paul Shore or something like that, or Solar. In here, if we go down to any of the COT ones, you know, we have, for example, this is the Dodge. There's 4 of them. There's the Chevy, Dodge, Toyota, and then Ford. You have all of the main defaults, and then my configs mod also adds a default for the spoilered version of the car. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and replace it. It appears that I am missing a scheme mod, it looks like, so we will go ahead and pull out a different one. Let's go with, I believe the Chevrolet, I think, has one that works. Yes. So the reason the scheme didn't load on the other one, I believe, is because I was using a scheme that was a part of a scheme pack that I do not have in my mods folder at the moment. But as we can see here, it is the same Gen 5 COT, it just comes with the default spoiler instead of the default wing. Here, let you hear it cold start. And they do run a little bit faster with a spoiler versus a wing. These ones that actually have gauges on them. And if I was actually able to pay attention while doing all the other camera work, they can go into the corner fairly decently. They do take a little bit of skill to enter the corner because you're going so fast and these cars don't turn crazy well. You do have to either lift or throw it into the corner just a little bit to get them to go on in there. But I do really like this Gen 5 mod that these guys have done for Beam here. For most of these mods, it's just a smaller group of people that are feeding the community here. Like I think in total it's like 5 or 6 people that do the majority of the NASCAR mods. I could be wrong, though. Feel free to correct me in the comments. Next up here, we have the Ford Mustang. Gen 7, the Gen 7 stock cars. So if I go into vehicles here, you find your way over to the NASCAR Gen 7 stock car. I have the mod that adds a bunch of different configs for them. You can see this one's a 750 horsepower road course model, and such. All kinds of different ones. We've just gone with the stock super speedway Ford here. Well, overcooked it. And as far as the best, you know, handling and detail, you know, mods there are, the Gen 7 is definitely one of them. These cars look great, they drive great, especially now that we have the option tire in a different mod as well. It's just, these cars are just fantastic all around. You can see in here we have the screen per usual. They run at pretty realistic super speedway speeds, which I am very much a fan of. Brakes on them are really nice with those wider tires. And now moving on here, we have the Gen 6 Camaro. This is all the chassis and base and all of this is also what the Challenger and the Gen 4 over there use. And so this is just a normal super speedway package. There are also mods for these that add different packages as well. You can also see we have that nice big super speedway spoiler on the rear of these cars here with the window in them so that drivers can see better. Big spoiler on these guys. We see that this is the one that also has the screen in it because it is a later Gen 6. And this Gen 6 is used a lot when people are making other NASCAR mods. The base for this car is the same base for the Xfinity car, the truck, the early 2013 Gen 6s, the late Gen 6s. I believe even the Gen 5s use a version of this base. Okay, and then here we have the truck. Now, if you just get the truck off of the download link and you go with a default, the default one in the page here, right? Okay, so we're gonna go to NASCAR truck. It's gonna show up as a Gen 6 Camaro, but if you do press it, and then you click on this and spawn it in, that's what you'll get. What I do have here is some default truck configs. And this one, as you can see here, NASCAR Truck Super Speedway. This is my quote default config for it, as well as some other ones here and some new ones that are coming as well. If I just click this and then press replace current, you'll see that a more proper truck will spawn in, and this has the spoiler on it. It has a paint scheme that actually fits it, and yeah. Gonna go ahead again. There's a thing I said about the seat texture not really being a thing for some of these. Let's go start it up. We can see here that the internal view for this one is not all that great. You can see into the hood, you can see the tire, you know, moving around there as you're steering, as it's going across the track. It has a screen in it instead of gauges. And as you can see, it does go around the corner just fine. And in the update in 4.0 for this, for my configs mod, it'll also have like a 2022 super speedway package, I believe, for this truck. Screwed that up. There we go. And yeah, so that is the truck. If I just shift through the cars here. All right, here we have the Riles Gen 4 mod, and as much as I want to say it's a good mod and everything on it just works, as much as I want to say that, it's kind of rough. So, gotta turn the car on. Doesn't sound that bad, honestly. But once we start driving here, that's where things get kind of rough. If you go in here, you can see that it's got gauges. Everything looks kind of a bit close together. And I'm having a hard time controlling this car when we're moving this fast, unfortunately. Now, when we go into this corner here, it's going to be a problem. It's really hard to control. First, your rear end is trying to step out, and then you have some understeer going on. Now we're going to try and lay on the brakes. The brakes are decent. Brakes are decent. And honestly, all of that could be forgiven just to have the Gen 4 mod in a public server, except for one thing. Once you load in 3 or 4 of these cars, the entire server is lagging out. as unfortunate as it is, these just can't really be used in multiplayer simply because of how laggy they are. And it's really unfortunate. Now you're gonna see another Gen 4 here, but it's close enough for now, but there are some unfortunate caveats. That being said, let's move on to the Dodge here. The Dodge is a body mod that works with the Gen 6 Camaro. So if I go to vehicles, I go to NASCAR stock car, we will see the configs for the Gen 6 Camaro here, and then we will also see one for the 2007 Gen 4 and one for all the Dodges. My custom configs pack adds a Gen 6 Dodge Super Speedway default because when you spawn it in, it doesn't have the spoiler. I think there's a couple other problems that you have to configure yourself. But with my configuration mod, uh, I believe this is the one that I actually have spawned in here. Yes. It adds in, or well, it puts on the spoiler and whatever other stuff is necessary in order for it to work. The other one that I have there, I go back to the vehicles, is a Gen 6 Dodge SS Chevy Camaro matched. So basically, if you spawn this one in, it should run pretty much almost the same as the Chevy Camaro. It is a little slow on its own compared to the Camaro, but once you put them on track together, they run very close and are competitive with each other. That being said, let's go ahead and start this up. It's going to sound just like the Chevy Camaro. Now, the reason I had to go in and change gear ratios and stuff like that in order to get it to run with the Chevy Camaro is because the air just goes over this car different with how BeamNG is. It just goes over the body different. The spoiler is not as big, and so it handles differently. There's a lot more rear end downforce for some reason. Give you a view of that beautiful Dodge. There's a lot more rear end downforce. And yeah, it's very, other than the fact that the body is different and that brings some other things that need solutions with it, right? Okay. It basically just runs like the Camaro. And as we went over when we looked inside, the has a screen in it, just like the later Gen 6s, because again, this is just a body mod for that Gen 6 Camaro. Last but not least, here is the Gen 4 body mod for the Gen 6 Camaro. Again, sounds pretty much exactly the same. Now, these Gen 4s are a fair bit faster than the Gen 6 Camaro, and so I'm going to show you. Go in here. We see here the my two defaults for the Gen 4 is the normal one, Gen 4 Super Speedway default. By the time you see this video come out, version 4 of the mod will be out and some names will be changed, but most of the thumbnails gonna look pretty much exactly the same. There's also going to be a 2006 or 2007 Super Speedway package for the Gen 4 body mod for the Gen 6 Camaro as well. But we have the normal one here. These use just the normal tires. The problem with this one is because these ones are a little faster than the normal Camaro, the front tires get hot, and after somewhere between 5 and 10 laps, you start having troubles turning into the corner simply just because it's understeering an incredible amount, an egregious amount, if you will. That is where the Gen 4 SS sticky version comes in. Basically, it just has the sticky tires on it so that your tires are not overheating as you're turning, and then you lose grip as the run goes on. See there, even right there, there's a bit of understeer happening. Locked up a tire. Since this is the last one here, we're gonna see if we can kind of get it into a tighter spot. And yeah, that is about it. The next clip you are going to see is the version 4 update for my configs mod. Alrighty, so here we are on the Motorsports Playground Sapphire Cup server. And we have someone over here doing some burnouts around the ARCA car here. There's 2 Sapphire Cup servers right now that are public. One is Motorsports Playground, and then the other one is Michigan at the moment. But right now we're going to be going over all of the cars that is in version 4 of the mod. And so let's go into here. And what I would also like to point out is the fact that all of the stuff here for version 4 of the mod and future versions to come are all just configurations of these cars that can all be made in the game itself. So, you know, I'm not adding any parts or anything like that. I am just making configurations from what is available in the vehicle config section here. Starting off with the O'Reilly's cars, slash Xfinity cars. As you can see, the normal configs for the Xfinity cars are all here. Oh goodness, as we have someone doing a burnout right next to the car here. Alright, I have moved us onto the aircraft carrier away from the super speedway and back over to vehicles here. We have the normal Xfinity cars, and then we also have 2026 O'Reilly Series Super Speedway packages. So basically, 4th gear is dumbed down a good bit to get them to qualify the same as the 2026 O'Reilly Series cars would. And basically, that just leaves a little bit of an interesting gap when you are doing drafting races with these, because with 4 gear dumbed down a bunch, as the RPMs go up, more power is added to the car, which allows you to get some crazy runs going. And because they are going so slow, you don't have to fight anything going into the corners with all that extra speed, because the baseline speed for these cars are much slower. The main downside about doing it the way I do it is that the engine sound does sound a little bit off because you're running at a lower RPM the whole way around the track, but it does make for some realistic qualifying times and some neat super speedway racing. So that is the 2025/2026 Xfinity/O'Reilly's car. Moving on to the next car in line, we have the Chevy SS stock car, which there is a 2021 NASCAR ARCA Super Speedway config. You can also see that things have been renamed a little bit slightly. All of the configurations that are related to my mod now have parentheses SCM parentheses on them, just so that people can tell whose are from what. Um, and so yeah, for the Chevy, this gives you realistic 2021 NASCAR ARCA series qualifying times. And the reason I made it, quote, an ARCA car is because number one, they qualify the same as the 2021 ARCA cars. And number two, there are paint schemes for the Chevrolet, the Ford Fusion, and the Toyota Camry that kind of look like ARCA schemes instead of cup schemes. So those three are in there. You know, if we look at the Ford here, we can see here I do need to patch the gear ratios on this Ford because apparently for some BeamNG servers the doesn't translate exactly the same, and I had tried to change the gear ratio on the Ford to get it to run equal to the Chevy and the Camry. Apparently, between servers, there's some discrepancies with that, so that's going to get patched to either in version 4-2 or version 5. So that's gonna be in the next version. Let's see if we continue down the line here. I don't have any configurations for the late Ford Mustang or the late Toyota Camry. Uh, as I've shown before, if we go into the Gen 5, each Gen 5 has a spoiler version. Again, the spoiler is a default part for these mods. Um, all I did was make a default config in the screen here for the spoilered versions of the cars. I don't have anything for the Gen 7. As far as the NASCAR stock car goes, we can see here that the ones that I have done are these three and then these two here. For the Gen 4 2007 mod, which is this one here, we have a 2007 Super Speedway package, which again brings fourth gear down so they run at a more realistic speed. We have the mod default version of the car here, which again I have explained before, has the issue where after you run them between 5 to 10 laps, the front tires really start to fall off and it becomes hard to steer. So then we have the Gen 4 Super Speedway mod default grippy, which just adds the grip tires so that your front tires are not overheating. And then we have the Chevy Camaro matched car, and then the mod default car there. Moving right along here, we have the truck. And then, of course, we have the same three trucks that were here before. And then this one here, which is a NASCAR Truck 2022 Super Speedway package. Which again, just dumbs down fourth gear so that the trucks run at a realistic qualifying time for the 2022 Truck Series. And then last but not least, a car that I forgot to go over in the main portion of the video, I apologize for that dearly, is the Wendover mod, which basically to me adds the Gen 3 car. Generation 3 is when they really started to deviate from being a stock car. And they started turning into race cars that look like street cars. By the time this video comes out, likely version 5 will be out, which will add theoretically a 1989 super speedway package for this car. And so yeah, the ones we currently have here is the NASCAR Super Speedway one. This one, the final drive is dumbed down a bunch so that you can just go full throttle on these cars at Daytona and not have to worry about lifting all that much or anything like that. And then we do have a super speedway unrestricted version, which basically just means the final drive is not dumbed down as much. These things can hit 220 miles an hour down the backstretch, then you have to lift and turn into the corner like a typical intermediate because of how fast they are going. So if you want to go as fast as possible while drafting and stuff like that, you have the unrestricted one here. If you just want to go pedal to the floor the entire way around Daytona, that's what this version is for. And then in version 5, we will also have a 1989 qualifying package as well. And then I believe that is it for the configs mod. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I apologize if it seems kind of long or, you know, if you got bored during a portion of it. I'm doing my best here. So yeah, as I said before, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. And we will see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.